Hi guys, it's Rihanna, and welcome back to part three of How I Manifested My Husband. Um, as you should know, if you've kept up, in part two, we discussed manifestation. I kind of defined it and what I think it means and how I use it in my life. Before it was like manifesting now is like a word that gets thrown around a lot. Before I even knew what it was, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And so I kind of go into that in more detail in part two. So check that out if you haven't already. In this part, so part three, I'm gonna just be talking about the initial like when we met, like physically met in person. Um, as I discussed in part one, Francis lived in Oklahoma at the time, and I was living in Florida. So we hadn't physically met, but he called me, and so we had been speaking on the phone via WhatsApp and on FaceTime, but we hadn't met at the time. So it was March 16th. I actually went back up in my pictures to get the exact date. And it was March 16th that we officially met for the first time. And so I want to give a little backstory to him even coming to Florida in the first place. So we had started talking January 3rd of 2015. So we had been having conversations on WhatsApp and texting and things of that nature. And in February, he was asking me like, "Oh, what's my favorite fruit?" and things like that. And I'd already told him what my favorite fruit was. And so it was getting close to Valentine's Day, and I was slightly, when I look back at it, I think it was annoyance, but really what the root feeling was me trying to sabotage something that I wasn't used to. And I'll explain that a little bit further. I got an idea that I knew he was going to send me something for Valentine's Day. We weren't dating, we weren't exclusive, we were just talking. And I think that there was a lot of fear in me surrounding like someone is going to send me a gift. What are they looking for from me? Why would they send me something? What do they want in return? I had like a very warped way of thinking about receiving gifts from, especially from a man. I didn't think of it like someone could just be kind and someone could just want to shower me with gifts without expecting something in return. And I think a lot of women would feel this way. So comment below and let me know if that's something that you feel. But anyway, you know, so he was asking me again, like, what was my favorite fruit? And I was like, I already told you, which my favorite fruit is mango. Um, and he was like, wasn't it strawberries? Or like, I don't know how he was answering. It wasn't an argument, but I was just kind of annoyed. I remember being annoyed. And I was just like, are you going to send me something? I don't really know you that well because we had only been speaking for about a month. And so I was like, I don't think it's a good idea for you to send me something. Um, so we had an actual conversation about this, and he kind of called me and he was just like, well, I would like to send you something for Valentine's Day, and like, is that okay? Like, why the resistance, I guess? And after we had a conversation about it, I realized the resistance came from me having a fear about receiving a gift from someone that I wasn't exclusive with, and what did that mean for him? And after he explained, he was just like, it's like a nice gesture, and I just wanted to kind of do that for you. I'm not expecting anything in return. And I think once we had that convo, I got more comfortable with like the idea of, well, okay, I can accept a gift. So I kind of forgotten about it. And then when Valentine's Day rolled around, I'm getting this knock on my door, and I'm getting a delivery of roses. It was a dozen roses, red roses, with a note. And I have a picture of the notes in my phone, and obviously I should have taken it so I can read it here today. But I can remember what it said. The first part of the note had the verse that talks about love in the Bible. I believe it's First Corinthians. Don't quote me here, my Bible warriors. Sorry, but the verse that talks about love is kind, love is patient, love does not keep a record of wrongs. He had that whole verse, I think, transcribed on the card, and then on the opposite side, it basically said, "Love is an action, not a feeling," and I don't know. It really impressed upon me, um, just receiving that. I had never received a Valentine's Day gift before from anyone. And it was special. And for some, that might be soon. For some, it's like, oh, I would have never accepted it, and that's okay. And even me, I had my own reservations about accepting it, to be honest. But I'm glad that I allowed him to gift me with that and to see that and to feel that because it felt good to receive that gift. You know what I mean? So I kept the flowers and I kept the note, of course. It had a box of chocolates with it as well. The following day, I received another package, and inside, so Francis and I had had this conversation um, about my favorite breakfast foods. I love breakfast foods. I'm a breakfast food foodie type of person. If I had a choice between eating breakfast and eating lunch, I would eat breakfast. I love all things breakfast. So, prior to obviously going vegan, I was very big on eggs and I was very big on bacon. And so we had this conversation about eggs and bacon. He loved bacon at the time as well. And so it was just like this funny joke. We had this running inside joke about bacon and his love for bacon. And so he got me a mug, which I, of course, still have today, that says, "Don't go bacon my heart." And the other side had a quote about eggs. Something about eggs. I can't even remember. But the point is, it was so sweet because we had literally had a little joke about it, and then he thought about getting this mug that had this saying on it. Perfect. It was perfect to me. That type of intuitive thinking about gift giving is where I'm at. That is my type of love language. I want someone, which we have to get into that a little bit deeper to the love language one, but I want someone who would think about the type of gifts that they give. And I just thought it was corny. I thought it was sweet. I laughed. You know, it was great. It was a really great thing. And he wrote a little note with it as well. So, anyway, fast forward after that Valentine's Day gift, you know, things were progressing. We were talking, chatting, but still at this point, just friends. And then he was talking about coming to visit me towards the end of February. He was talking about coming to visit me on spring break sometime in March. So I was like, visit me, you know, I'm like, oh, that's kind of like, at the time, like kind of heavy commitment type of vibe to me. Also, keep in mind, I'm a Sagittarius rising, and if you know anything about Sagittarius, you know that they're really like not committed type of people, very non-committal when it comes to things. Kind of like light and flirtatious, kind of keep it light and sweet. So I was getting a little bit like, I don't know, anxious about that. And he said, you know, I'm coming with a friend of mine. We're spending our time in spring break. It's our last hoo-ha before they graduated college. So it was like, you know, no stress, no big deal. He booked his own hotel and booked, you know, he never insinuated like, oh, am I going to come stay with you? You know those texts you get from guys? I don't get these type of text messages, but friends of mine do. And they share with me. And so it was like, guys would be like, oh, I'm in your city. Like, you know, what's up? Or like, can you come pick me up from the airport? Or can I crash at your place? It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I don't even really know you, sir. Like, you can't come to my home and sleep on my bed or even on my couch. Like, you know, I don't know how the girls are doing it these days. I shouldn't say the girls. I don't know how the kids are doing it these days. And by the kids, I mean the generation after me or after mine, which I think is Generation Z, because I'm a millennial, but I believe it's Generation Z that's after us. But anyway, don't quote me on that. But I don't know how it's going. I don't know if social media has all of a sudden made it okay for like you to like know someone off of Instagram, and then next week you can fly into their city and like y'all can, I don't know, hang out. That's not as common to me. So here I am. I come from like the instant messaging world, okay? Not AOL, but MSN. So, you know, everybody from that time frame knows what I'm talking about. Um, while I am not a stranger to having online type of relationships and building online friendships with people, I've fallen in love with a guy online. A mad situation, but I did. And it happened. I mean, I was 17. What do you expect? But, you know, it is what it is. So I'm very well versed in that world, but someone was actually coming to visit me. I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? So they did drive down an 18-hour journey. They stopped and overnighted in different places or whatever, but he finally did arrive. And on March 16th, I met Francis Flair. We had Vietnamese food. I remembered I wore a red peplum top and a pair of skinny jeans with some cheetah print shoes. I had these big long twists. This is where I could like insert a little cute picture, but I'm not YouTube savvy, so I mean, sorry. But I have a picture of what I wore. His favorite color is red. Go figure. So, which I knew that at the time, and I'm pretty sure that's why I put on red, because I mean, a Leo. Come on, we're trying to impress. I mean, it is what it is. And so we went to dinner at a Vietnamese restaurant. I picked him up because his friend was using the car that they drove down in. And our first meet, I remember getting out of the car at the hotel and I went to give him a quick hug before we got back in, and I instantly complimented him. Oh, you smell good, because he did smell good. And so, if you ever get a chance to meet my husband, he was super shy. It's funny though, and I love awkward moments. Like, when I mean I love them, I handle them well. When a situation is awkward, I just talk through it, because what else are we gonna do? So I could tell that he was a little bit nervous. I was nervous, and when I'm nervous, I talk more. So it is what it is. And we ended up going to the restaurant, and he just was looking at me. Not in a way that made me uncomfortable, but it's almost like somebody was like soaking you in. That's how it felt. So I'm just chatting away, talking away, and he's responding back and stuff. He was, I'm eating and I'm enjoying my food. I had to go to work that night too, which is beyond me. I don't even know how I did that. But I think I was on an adrenaline rush because I'd never really done something like this before. And we were just having a good time. So when we left dinner, I ended up having to go straight to work, and he was just telling me, we can have breakfast tomorrow and stuff like that. So which we did have breakfast the next morning at Panera Bread and different things. And that was actually probably one of our first in-person disagreements. It wasn't a disagreement, in-person little tension argument possible. Because we were having a conversation at Panera and I got sidetracked and I was paying attention to another conversation at the other table. That happens to me a lot. Am I nosy? And he realized I wasn't paying attention. He stopped speaking. I noticed he stopped speaking. And then I was like, why'd you stop? And he was like, because you're not paying attention. That was the second time I had done that. And he brought it to my attention. And I felt some type of way, I'm not going to lie. But I was appreciative that he did bring it to my attention. And that's something that I want to talk about a little bit more. My husband challenges me in ways that helps me grow. And that is something I appreciate about him, because, I mean, we all need that. You need to be with someone who's not afraid to challenge you and call you out on your own BS. And he does that. The same way I will do it for him. We do it to each other. I don't even want to call it constructive criticism. It's really just being like, hey, are you aware that this is happening? Are you aware that you are doing this? And so there's that. So we began a long distance relationship after we met in March. He asked me to be his girlfriend the following month in April. It was over FaceTime. And then in May, the month after, I decided to visit him in Oklahoma. Never been to Oklahoma. I was going to fly there. I was going by myself. I told my mom and a few other people. And like I said, my parents raised me in such a way where they know that I'm smart and they know that I have a solid head on my shoulders. And one of my brothers, I distinctively remember him saying that. He was like, I'm not worried for Rihanna. She has a good head on her shoulders. And so when I was making a decision to go, my mom said, are you sure about it and stuff? Like, are you feeling okay? And I said, I feel fine. And I always tell people, when I'm unsure about something and I'm a little bit confused, or like I'm having thoughts going back and forth, I don't do it, because I believe that confusion comes from the devil. And I believe that like calmness and like a calm spirit comes from God. So if I'm ever confused about making a decision about something, I won't make the decision. I'll wait. I'll pray about it more. I'll take my time. But going to Oklahoma was like, No big deal. I was okay. I was fine. And so I bought my ticket and I ended up going. But I should back up a little bit. When Francis came to visit me in Florida back in March, that week that he spent there was perfect. There's really nothing else I can say. It's one of the best weeks I've ever had in my life. He treated me like an absolute princess. It was the type of treatment that I had dreamed about. The type of treatment that you see on social media now today, and you're like, boy, some women have it all. Some women are so lucky. I felt that way. You know, he wined and dined me. It was great. I felt like I was the most important person in the world. I mean, it was amazing. And I truly, truly wish that everybody in this world could experience something like that. Um, it was amazing. And I'm not telling you that we are perfect people. We are not. Very far from it. But that was such a perfect moment. Um, and we were learning each other, and we were learning like the attitudes and the different mood swings. I mean, it was great. Fast forward to me when I visited him in Oklahoma. That experience within itself was amazing. To date, one of the best weeks I've ever spent here. You know, we went like on a horseback riding thing in like downtown, went to the movies, we went to my first paint and sip thing. I mean, it was great, amazing. Like, things that I dreamt about was happening, and it was just like, wow, how is this my life? How am I experiencing the very things that I prayed that I would? Anyway, that's just wow to me. um but like I said, we were in a long distance relationship, and that relationship being long distance, I think, was probably the best thing that could have happened to us, because what ended up happening was we had to build our communication and the non-physical part of our relationship. We didn't have the physical. Wasn't no sex happening, wasn't no dates happening, like we could go out every Friday night, no eating out, nothing. So what we had was FaceTime, texting, and we had to build our relationship through communication, through talking. That's why I was able to ask so many questions. And from the first video, from my first episode, you know that I'm a questioner, and I had questions. And so we were able to really talk and really like get to know each other. And I know that long distance doesn't work for everybody, and I'm not even advocating that you should have a long distance relationship, but I guarantee you, for me, in my experience, that long distance relationship was what helped us gain the insight that we have today. Like, we communicate very effectively as a couple, not perfectly, effectively. There are days I have silent treatment modes. There are days he has it too. I'm not telling you that we are perfect in this arena. What I'm saying is it forced us to grow very young in our relationship. So now, like, I can't imagine being afraid to tell Francis something. That makes no sense to me. If I'm scared to tell you something, I shouldn't be in a relationship with you. That's what I feel. So it's just kind of like, I'm glad that we had that time to not be distracted by the physical aspect of what a relationship could be, and we could really just build upon the emotional, those non-physical things, those values, those morals. We could build upon those types of things in our relationship, and I think it made all the difference for us personally. Within about 5 months of knowing each other, and it probably was sooner, but I kind of say like about 5 months into knowing each other, we knew that marriage was going to be the outcome between us. I mean, we were very much alike in a lot of ways. We had a lot of the same value systems, and so we wanted the same things out of life. He challenged me, I challenged him. We grew together as a couple, and I think we both kind of ended up like, I mean, marriage is really the end point, the end and beginning for what we were doing. So, yeah, that's really like the very short version of um, meeting him and having that relationship with him prior to us getting married. And, it's been a really great journey, a really beautiful journey. And more on that later. Obviously, I'll go into more about my thoughts on marriage and being young and being married. But I just appreciate you guys for listening. and for joining me on yet another episode of Recreate the Conversation. And my goal here is really just to recreate conversations about things that maybe our age group, we have like outdated information maybe from like older groups or parents, or like just like outdated ways of thinking about things. I just kind of want to recreate those conversations and have them again and share, share with you my experience as you share with me yours in the comments, or if you have my number, text me, WhatsApp me. So yeah, but let's keep the conversation going. I'm so happy that you guys joined me today. So thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share, tell your mom to watch it, tell your uncle to watch it, tell your cousin, the whole nine. I appreciate it, all right? Thanks, guys. See you next time. Bye.